Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. Buckle up, as it's a long one, and of course, listen to the end of the story to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My 34 female brother Dave passed away 3 years ago, leaving behind his wife, Izzy, and son Miles, now 8. Izzy has 2 other children, 11-year-old twins from her ex. When David died, he left all his money in a trust structure for Miles. Izzy is only allowed to use the money to take care of Miles, and in order to access any of the money, Izzy must have my written agreement or the trustees will not release funds. This money pays for Miles' prep school. There have been occasions in the past where Izzy has lied about what she wants money for, and I've signed off on her getting money only for her to not use the money for Miles, but for things for her other kids. Since I realized this, I normally just buy things Miles needs out of my own pocket, so that Izzy can't use these needs as an excuse to extort money. A few days ago, Izzy called me and said she needed some money, and she wanted to be honest this time. She said she had no money after bills and other expenses to buy Christmas presents for her kids this year, and wanted to use some of Miles' money to do so. She said she won't spend extravagantly, but she knows that Miles will be getting big gifts from our side of the family, and she won't be able to give her kids anything. She said she doesn't want the twins to resent Miles more than they already do. Miles has told me they pick on him at home, and that she just needs a bit of help to make things equal. I was a bit irritated that she was trying to excuse her lack of parenting as the children's fault, and that the only way she could think to stop her kids' bad behavior is use Miles' money as a shortcut. Ultimately, I said no, because I feel like spending Miles' money on people who are cruel to him would not be what he wanted. He's not old enough that I want to burden him by asking him directly, and would be against the spirit of the trust my brother set up. Izzy has been blowing up my phone, making me feel like trash for saying no, saying I am ruining Christmas and making Miles' siblings hate him more, and it's really starting to get to me. But on the other hand, I'm not sure I can justify saying yes, and I don't want this to open the door to further requests. At the end of the day, this is not even my money. Someday Miles will have access to the money and the accounts, and every time I sign off on a request, I think if I had to answer to an older Miles, would I be able to justify the purchase? And the answer here was no. But I'm really struggling. Am I the a-hole? I don't think OP is in the wrong here. Instead of protecting Miles, she's using him for money to buy her older kids gifts. I think OP did the right thing. Once OP agrees to give her money, she will never stop asking. If she can't budget enough to set aside money throughout the year, that's her problem. And using Miles' inheritance to buy Christmas gifts for her other kids is a crappy thing to do. Doesn't she have an ex-baby daddy to cry to for money so her other 2 kids can have gifts? And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Lady Cass 79 says, "Not the a-hole. That money has an express purpose, and it isn't to fund any shortfalls the mother has. I potentially have a bit of judgment for your brother here. Did he have no life insurance? Was literally nothing left to alleviate the financial burden his death would place on a spouse left with 3 children? Gifts for 11-year-olds don't cost that much. Personally, I'd leave your nephews money and have your family contribute some gifts for those 2 children. You stand firm about never making exceptions with your nephew's money, though." Hamelhair says, So for Miles to avoid aggression, his mother wants him to essentially pay protection money to his step-siblings to get them to lay off. Will he be having to do this every year? How much time does this buy him? As Rudyard Kipling once wrote, "Once you have paid him the Danegeld, you never get rid of the Dane." Not the a-hole at all. I don't know what the solution is, but this most emphatically is not it. OwlVivid420 says, "Not the a-hole. Document your ex-sister-in-law misusing your nephew's funds. Have lawyers deal with her. It's only going to get worse." My 43, ex-husband Duke, 54, and I divorced because he habitually cheated on me. We were divorced a little over 2 years when he died in a motorcycle accident. I paid for his funeral because of my daughter, 15, and despite everything, he was her father, and I didn't want the state to bury him. That was 4 months ago, and my daughter is doing well. I applied for survivor's benefits for her shortly after his funeral, and have been receiving monthly payments. Yesterday, I received a phone call from my caseworker at the Social Security office, informing me that a woman called claiming that she had a 3-year-old son by my ex-husband. However, the woman had no proof the boy is actually my ex-husband's, not signed birth certificate or DNA test. The caseworker asked me if I would be willing to allow my daughter to do a DNA test to prove the child's paternity. I refused. I did the math, and this child was definitely conceived while I was still married to my ex. Furthermore, at the time of conception, I had gone through a very traumatic hysterectomy with major setbacks that nearly killed me. I suspect I know who this woman is, and she definitely knew my ex-husband and I were still married. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing by refusing, but I was humiliated enough by my ex when he was alive, and I feel even more embarrassed now. The child's mother can find another family member to establish paternity. Imagine the audacity of knowing sleeping with a married man and then asking the wife for help. She had 3 years to establish paternity and go for child support, and did nothing about that. It's not OP's or her daughter's responsibility to provide DNA results for someone else's benefit. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Raquel8822 says, "Might have already been said, but if the mother knew the kid was his, why did she wait 3 years to claim child support from the father? Yes, any mother who has had child support entitled to them deserves every penny. But it's a huge red flag when she waits till she knows their survivor's benefits going to his other child. I'm guessing someone told her she's missing out on a nice paycheck, and now she's wanting a piece of it." LA for the win says, "Not the a-hole. You don't owe this woman anything. Let her figure things out the way she would have if your daughter was not available. She could, for example, ask his parents or siblings to do the DNA test." May Wellflower says, "Not the a-hole, because it is not your fault nor problem that your dead cheating turd of an ex purposely did not acknowledge the boy, nor did the woman take his butt to court for child support payments when he was alive. She should have done all of that for at least 2 years before he turned into meat crayon on the road. Not your problem, not your karma. Let his ex go figure out that mess on her own regarding her son, because it's not your child. And your ex is lucky that you are a good mother to your own daughter, because anyone else would gladly let the state bury his unfaithful butt. Just saying, if it wasn't for your daughter, you wouldn't even claim any benefits because you want nothing to do with him, and rightfully so." Update. About a month after I found out about this little boy, I did indeed tell my daughter, who is now 17 by the way. She was shocked, as you can imagine, and very hurt by her dad's actions. I explained to her the full situation, and she didn't want to do it then. She said she needed time, so that's what I gave her. Incidentally, she has been in therapy since, before, during, and after the divorce. Her father and her were never close, because he had a kids are to be seen and not heard mentality, which caused a lot of problems, even when we were still together. The woman who had an affair with my husband was a work colleague, friend. We all worked together at the same place. We both still work there, just in different areas. After I got the call from my caseworker, several mutual acquaintances approached me and told me that she wanted to sit down and talk with me about her problem. I thought about that for a few days and ultimately decided to meet up with her. We met at a coffee shop by our job on a Saturday. She told me that she and my ex started out as friends at first. He would give her advice on how to deal with her other 2 kids' dad. She said very quickly it turned into flirting and hanging out, and eventually a full-on affair. By this time, he's telling her that I was getting suspicious that something was going on, and she was already pregnant. She told him about the pregnancy, and he told her he wouldn't be leaving me, but he would assist her with whatever the child needed. She was hurt and angry, but stuck with the situation, as she was already struggling with the 2 kids she had and needed the help. She went on to say that he was very much in love with me, and that she was jealous of me for having him. Not one time was this woman remorseful. No apologies, nothing. I asked her did she even care what the affair did to my daughter, and she replied no, because she had enough on her plate dealing with her own children, and, quite frankly, didn't care about mine. That's word for word, by the way. At this point, I told her that I've informed my daughter about her son, and she is currently not interested in participating in this scenario. She got outraged by that, telling me I have to make my daughter do this, that she is only part-time at her job, and kids cannot survive on her income alone. I told her that she was a B, that if she even felt a little bit of guilt, I might have been able to talk my daughter around, but her lack of respect for my daughter's feelings is why I won't. I left her there yelling at me as I walked away to my car. She has since quit working at her job. Over the past year, I have addressed the situation with my daughter, and she still doesn't want to do it. I've told her it's her decision either way, and I support what she wants. My ex's parents are both deceased, and his one sister is dead. He has an older brother, but they hadn't communicated in decades because of the brother's D issues. I tried to find out about him when my ex died, but I couldn't find anything. My ex was dead 2 full days before the police finally got in contact with me. It was a shock. I never hated him. I hated what he did. There is a difference. So, my wife and I were married for 6 years, and together for 9 when she left me. We were high school sweethearts, and I thought we had an amazing relationship. We were one of those couples that everyone was jealous of. I was head over heels for her, and I thought she was for me too. We had always talked about having a family, and for the first 3 years of our marriage, we were actively trying. However, we found out that I was infertile, and we were devastated. It sent my wife into a depression, and for a while, I thought our marriage was going to fail. It was really rough times for us. However, we eventually came to the decision that we would try to save up for in vitro fertilization, and that if that didn't work, we would look into other options. We spent the next 2 years saving up every penny we could. It was hard, but we both really wanted children. I thought we were doing really well, and I thought that our marriage was stronger than ever. We finally had enough money to undergo the procedure, and we were just about to make an appointment when my wife told me that she was having second thoughts. She said that she was worried that she would not be able to love a non-biological child as much as a biological one. I told her that I understood her concerns, but that I thought we should try anyways. She said she needed time to think about it. A few weeks later, she told me that she had made up her mind, and that she did not want to go through with IVF. I was very disappointed, but I told her that I loved her, and that I would support her in whatever she wanted to do. I told her that we could look into other options. However, she said that she had actually made up her mind about something else. She said that she had been seeing someone else for a few months, and that she was in love with him. She said that she was moving in with him. I was completely blindsided. There had been no signs of this at all. I was completely devastated. I begged her to reconsider, but she said that her mind was made up. She left, and that was the last time I ever saw her. I was a complete wreck for a long time. I had no idea that anything was wrong in our marriage, and I had no idea that she was seeing someone else. I was in a very dark place for a long time, and I thought about ending things. However, I eventually sought therapy, and with the help of a therapist, I was able to get through my feelings and get to a better place. I was able to move on, and I eventually started dating again. However, I still thought about my ex-wife from time to time, and I always wondered what had happened to her. I had no way of contacting her, as she had changed her phone number and all of her social media accounts. So I was completely shocked when 3 years after she left me, she showed up at my door. At first, I thought she was there to apologize for what she had done to me, but then I saw that she was holding a baby. She said that she needed to talk to me. She had a baby from him, and he dumped her after she gave birth. She is begging me to take her back, and I don't know what to do. Marv115 says, "Run. Marriages end. That can happen. That's not what happened here. She cheated and left you to dry. No second thoughts. The wife you missed did not exist. You owe her nothing. Do not take her back." Wild Welder 16 says, "She said that she didn't think she could love a child that wasn't biologically hers. But now she's trying to get you to love a child that 1. Isn't yours, 2. Was the product of you being cheated on and lied to. I think you'll regret it." This Cauliflower says, "Wow, can you raise an affair baby and love it as your own? Not sure I have that in me." I have a very complicated family system. There's me, 43 male, and I live with my beautiful wife, 42 female, and our 3 children, 13 male, 13 female, 9 female. But I also have 2 kids with my ex, both 19 female. Recently, she's gotten remarried and has another daughter who's 3 now. We've had a hard time with the co-parenting. When the twins were younger, we lived in the same apartment building and tried our best, but crap happened and her mental health got bad, and a lot of resentment built up between her and my family. I wanted to move on, and she couldn't seem to take care of her kids properly. The kids themselves are also train wrecks, though I guess I can't blame them based on who their mother is. But things are going a little better now since she has her new husband. She settled down in a nice house, and this year she called to ask how we were doing Christmas. I asked what she meant. I honestly don't like talking to her much, and was eager for her to hang up the phone. She sounded like she was confused, and said she thought I would want to spend time with the girls. I know what she really meant was spending time with her and her family. I told her that they're adults and are welcome to make plans with me if they want to. She said that my wife and sister invited her, her husband, and kids to the annual Christmas Eve party. I said, "There's your plans," and hung up on her to focus on work. Then this evening, my wife comes into my home office looking pissed off. She asked if I told my ex off. I said no. I told her the twins could make their own holiday plans. My wife was not happy with this solution and told me that I needed to work harder to tend to both of my families. I told her that I have one family. She was utterly appalled by this and stormed out. Now my wife, ex, and sister, who were all best friends, are calling me an a-hole and saying I need to put in more effort for my ex and her kids. Am I the a-hole? Tangerine Daydream says, "You're the a-hole. You're not the a-hole for not wanting to spend Christmas with your ex, but you are one for not putting in more effort with the kids you have together. You keep referring to them as her kids, but from what I gather, they belong to both of you. The fact that your wife, ex, and sister are all best friends is an odd situation though." E.T. Phone Mom says, "Bruh, I found out my dad called me a train wreck and then talked crap about my mom on Reddit and still wonder if he's the a-hole. I would evict him from my life so he can go live in Delulu land forever." Mysterious Silver 381 says, "So your wife, ex-wife, sister, and your kids are all looking forward to spending Christmas together, but you have an issue with it? For reasons. Maybe you should go somewhere else for Christmas and let everyone else enjoy themselves. You're the a-hole."